Yes, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Chopping It Up with Charms. I'm the man himself, and I'm back here again for all of the lowdown, everything Chelsea, everything blue. It's been a minute since you've seen me, but don't worry, the consistency is around the corner. Life will life, but good things come to those who wait, and you're just going to have to wait a pinch longer for that. But don't worry, it is on the cards, it's round the bend, and you'll see me every week, all the time. You'll get me whenever you want me. But till then, tap into the Two Blues podcast and all the socials. You know how it goes. But we will be talking everything Chelsea, everything that we have missed since the last time I have seen you. And since then, we've had multiple major developments. We finished fourth in the Premier League, as something I was confident was going to be the case from about December, November. At the beginning of the season, I pegged us to come eighth. I really thought the European positions weren't something we should be worrying about thinking about. It was more the team cohesiveness and playing football together. And the Premier League is a very, very hard, demanding league. I could name you 10 genuinely quality sides that are in the Premier League right now. And, we'll get into it in a later video. But even the teams coming up like Sunderland, it worries me for the teams that are in the Premier League because I just see the quality all around the pitch. And I'm thinking they have no reason to get dropped next season. But further on, talking about Chelsea in the top four, I'm very impressed. I think that this is minor. I wouldn't maybe not call it an overachievement, but it's an achievement nonetheless. I think we can definitely hang our heads in pride or hold our heads high with pride that we've managed to lock down the fourth spot in the Premier League. We've managed to lock in a Champions League spot for the next season. It's something we haven't been able to do for 3 years. Last time we were in the Champions League, we did make it to the quarterfinals. And we looked all right, but we need to go further than that this time. We need to get to the quarters, get to the semis, get to the final. We need to win it. And with the team that we're developing at the minute, I really do think it's possible. I mean, it has to be said. We'll talk about the Betis game a bit later, but I think Cole Palmer is indescribable levels of quality. I think he's a top 10 player on the planet. If not, he's in the top 5, and he's incredible. The way he's able to turn games on its head when he's in form, like the assists he makes, the cuts and the runs and just the danger, the overall presence is it's scary. And I saw him on the right wing against Betis, the way he cut in and crossed that ball in for Jackson. I mean, my missus thought hit Jackson on his chest, it just flew into him and went in. And I don't blame her. The quality is all in the assist, it's all in the build up to the goal, and it's not the goal itself. And you need a miracle worker for that to happen. I mean, I thought Isco had a fantastic game, but yeah, Cole Palmer's quality is undeniable, and the fact that we're able to strengthen that with players around him, it means that the future is very bright. And I think Cole Palmer needs Champions League football. I think he was going to get Champions League football next season, so us coming in fourth means he's staying, and he's untouchable. He can't leave. All the players' demands are met. And we got to keep it that way. We got to give him everything he wants. And if he wants the moon, I'll go there myself. I'll give Elon a bell because the kid is invaluable, and what he's going to give to Chelsea in the future is something that only time can tell. But it's going to be a positive thing, and just the concept of him being up top with a new striker. And we'll get to that in a minute. But we'll get, and also Kenji Paez, Israel Willian, and Kendra, and all of these players in and around, these young South American tricky players who we're going to get into the side. They're going to really bounce well off of Chelsea. And I was talking about this elsewhere, but I think that the Chelsea that we've become accustomed to, that defensive Chelsea, same old Chelsea, parking the bus and not letting players get through after they've bagged one, I think it's starting to dissipate. We saw with Thomas Tuchel, we've played a bit more of like a 3-5-2 inverted fullback, sort of like sexy defending, and we're transitioning out of that sort of 3 or 5 at the back, whatever you want to call it, into just a classic 4 at the back with that attacking flair about us. And it's interesting, I think that you look back at the core of our team, and it's all riddled with players who know how to defend, even down to the Caicedo, who's fantastic at winning the ball back and moving it. Players like Enzo, who's a straight up 8, but I would argue is a better defensive midfielder than like a Frank Lampard, who's the greatest 8 in the club of this history. But Enzo, he offers a little bit more defensively, and obviously I know that offense isn't quite there, and there's no amounting to the offense of Frank Lampard, particularly in just a handful of seasons. But he's definitely playing the blueprint to be a long-term invested 8, and we'll talk about it now because it seems like a good place to transition into. But I think that Chelsea should look to offset Enzo Fernandez to Real Madrid and try and recoup the money, and if not, make a minor profit on him. I think that the idea of Caicedo playing next to either Lavia or Andre Santos is more appealing to me personally. Although I like Enzo, I feel like his aggressive box hunting nature essentially, I don't think it complements Palmer the way I want it to, and I wouldn't mind if Palmer was able to be that creative spark in its entirety, not need to run off of a second central midfielder. And where Enzo kind of fills a little bit for Palmer and a little bit for Caicedo, I would much rather Caicedo got the second man, got the second assist, so he was able to make those lung-busting runs that I've seen him make time and time again this season. I don't mind buying him as a ball carrier. I just feel like he doesn't do it enough. And if we're going to do that, I think Lavia is even a better ball carrier than he is. And I think the same about Andre Santos. I mean, you look at the numbers Santos was putting up in Strasbourg, the performances he was putting up in Strasbourg, his ability to bring the ball from that midfield dark area into those attacking spaces, into those wide wings and going straight over the top to a striker, a striker who can chase a deep inline ball like a Victor Osimhen or a Gyökeres. I feel like we're still going to need a striker, and we'll get into it now. Once again, beautiful transition from myself, but Chelsea have announced this morning that, well, not announced per se, but it's been heavily rumoured, and here we go by Fabrizio, that Chelsea are going to be buying Liam Delap off of Ipswich, which is a player who has caused us harm in the past. He's a player who I've seen the best of. I don't know if I've necessarily seen the worst of, but I've seen the media of, and I don't think he's the right striker. Kill me. I mean, 12 goals in a relegated Ipswich side. It is impressive, but they got dropped, and I had Ipswich staying up. Maybe I overestimated them a little bit. Maybe that might be where this comes from, but I thought Ipswich were a solid side. I thought Omari Hutchinson was going to be a good player. I thought Liam Delap was going to be a great player, and they just haven't lived up to the standard I might have expected. And don't get me wrong, 12 goals in the Premier League and saying that is wild, especially out of a relegated side. Look at the chances that are being created versus the ones being put away, but I just feel like Liam Delap is just a pinch off of the quality that Chelsea want as a long-term invested striker. He's only 22. He's got a lot of youth ahead of him. And I know 30 million is a fantastic figure, and it might be the reason why we're pushing it over the line. But I really do hope that we look at a second striker option. I've got love for Nicholas Jackson, yeah, but, just that performance last night, I just can't have it. Even with the goal, I don't think he does enough when it comes to finishing. I don't think he's ruthless enough. And where Liam Delap might have that ruthlessness, I don't think he's a dog as much as Nicholas Jackson. And I want something in the in-betweener. Honestly, I want Nicholas Jackson to get his finishing boots on, and I'd be happy without a striker. But he won't, and he hasn't. It's been nearly 2 years, and it is just simply time to move on. Football's a harsh sport, and you've got to face the harsh reality sometimes that you can't kick on immediately. You might not be able to kick on here, and the love is still there and whatnot, but yeah, if we can move him on, maybe on a loan to a Strasbourg, and then move him on for 60, 50 million, I'd be happy with that. Now, Campione, ole, ole, ole. Let's talk a little bit about the Conference League. Now, I won't lie to you, this is a big fish in a little pond. This is a tournament we had wrapped from day one. We should never have conceded to Servette, let alone lose to Servette. And this is the amalgamation of that. From that point in the season to now, 1-0 down, we looked like our former self. We looked like the side we had been in between December and March. We looked lackadaisical, but we didn't want it. We looked like the mental was off. We looked like we were ready to get folded over and lose a game we should win. And, they've had a couple of chances squandered, but they only left it 1-0. And in the second half, we showed that ruthless side. 4 goals in the second half. I think it says an awful lot. The team turned on. We made the right substitutions. You got Reece James coming on. Palmer started, but he stays on and he makes the difference. You got players like Jadon Sancho, who I think had a fantastic game. I think he had a bit of a showcase performance, historic performance. I don't think he should leave, and I didn't think that a month ago. He will probably leave, and we will probably buy in a winger. We'll probably buy in Garnacho, but I don't like that. I think Jadon Sancho's done enough to earn himself a position at this club. He's a Chelsea fan. He puts on the numbers. He puts on the performances, and I've been very pleased with him this season. And should we get rid of him and we pay the 5 mil? Good. I think it was 5 mil well spent. And say what you want about Chelsea being flipped over and shagged. I really don't care. We got a great player who put up some great performances in times we needed him. He takes off his top, and what's he wearing? He's wearing blue. Yeah, you see that? Because it's on his art. I can't deny it. I want Jadon Sancho to stay. I want us to make a couple more transfers, but I want us to go all out for a striker like Victor Gyökeres or a striker like Omar Marmoush was a striker we should have got in January. The fact that he's on the market and we weren't in for that shows we're not big game anymore. And we need to be big game. We need to be big money. We need to get big Uncle Roman's pockets full, or empty even, and bring them. You know, we need to do the same energy with Todd Boehly. That's about it. I'm very happy with how this season's wrapped up. 4th place, I will take it. Fantastic season from the boys. Conference League, we've left there with a trophy. And, you know, the signing of Liam Delap, although I'm not best pleased, you know, we've got a solid striker at a solid price. I can't really complain. We'll probably recoup 30 mil from fucking Keenan Dewsbury Hall and a bunch of clowns I don't care about. And then, you know, justify why we've bought Liam Delap when we've got an influx of strikers who haven't played for the club on the way in at any time. Next year looks scary. I think my proposition for Cole Palmer to win a Ballon d'Or by 2027 is in full effect. England win the Euros, Chelsea win the Champions League, Palmer wins the Ballon d'Or, I become a millionaire, everyone's happy. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to smash that like button. Yuck! And I'll keep these videos going. Up the Chels, till the next one.